I've been selling reptiles online for a solid few years now and shipping them off to people all over the United States. And looking back, there's the occasional thing where I'm like, yeah, that was kind of sketchy. So I thought today, for some reason, it'll be a good idea to share the 5 top things that I thought of when it comes to, some secrets I've done about selling reptiles. Now, just how sketchy or bad are they? Well, you can be the judge. I don't think they're horrible, but I'm sure the comment section will fill me in if I am misguided. The first one, in my notes, I said loopholes. I feel like the word loophole is a bit strong. I'm gonna, hold on, synonyms for loopholes. There were some discrepancies. I dodged, no, that's even worse. Means of evasion. Okay, these are all too, I'm just gonna say the word loophole. I don't think it's really a loophole, but we worked our way around some things so that we could still work with and sell reptiles that were actually illegal to own and sell. In the United States, the states, while they are united, kind of, they each have their own laws. For example, in Georgia, corn snakes are illegal. It's very random. It's just if you're in Georgia, you can't own a corn snake. Whatever. So the easiest example to describe to you would be diamondback terrapins, which are illegal to possess or own in the state of North Carolina without a permit. But we were still able to help people out when they would say, hey, I've got a diamondback terrapin. Can you please take it in for me because I can't keep it anymore? We could still make it work. You pay us the rehoming fee and we'll take it. But when I say we, that includes our partners, because instead of shipping it to us in North Carolina, they would ship it to someone else on our behalf that lives in another state where selling diamondback terrapins was illegal, but owning them was not. The diamondback terrapin never entered the state of North Carolina, and it never even got close to North Carolina. It got shipped from one state where it was legal to own to another state where it was legal to own. We can list it on our site as usual. That person's caring for it and doing everything we need. And then once we find a new owner for it, that person would ship it to the new owner on our behalf. And we would occasionally compensate these people for helping us out with various things. So it was kind of a win-win-win situation. The person that couldn't keep the animal was helped out, the animal got to a great home, and someone that wanted a diamondback terrapin and could own it legally got to own their diamondback terrapin. And we were able to do it all from a state where it was illegal to own, but I never even saw the turtle. So I don't think that's too bad. What do you think? It is not even that sketchy. Number 2, on the site, it clearly says we do not accept returns of reptiles. If you buy a reptile, it's all on you. We're not taking it back. In reality, we actually did accept returns, okay? Now, most reptile sites, if you look, they're gonna say no returns. You can't send the animal back. If you pay for it and we send it to you, it's all yours. It's all your problem. We're not doing nothing. But we still help out people that bought animals from us 4+ years ago. We're still there for them. We still answer questions. And if they want to return it, we actually do accept the returns, okay? Now, the reason we say we don't accept returns is because we need buyers to be like, I am keeping this. This is my problem. It's my responsibility. There's no 30-day return period where I can keep it for 29 days and then ship it back and then get a refund or whatever, because we need people that are certain they're going to do what they can. However, people still mess up and they actually can't keep it. Now, some people do accept returns. I think that's kind of crazy. If you think of an Amazon, like I love Amazon's return system. I use it occasionally, but if you return something to Amazon, it's probably just going to get thrown away. We can't throw away live animals. So if it gets sent back to us, we have to deal with whatever that owner did. If they say did a poor job or something went bad, that's our problem now. And then we have to send it back to a new person. And then maybe that person returns it, and we don't want to ship animals too many times. Like, even though I believe shipping reptiles is okay, I don't want to have to ship them 6 times because people keep returning the animals. However, if someone contacts us and they explain, I need to return it. I just lost my job. I can no longer afford it. I don't have time. And I don't always agree with their reasons. Sometimes they're like, I don't like its attitude. I don't like its personality. If someone clearly has an animal in their ownership where they're unhappy with it, that's not going to be good for the animal. And one of the promises that we want to uphold to the people that send us animals and we're rehoming for is that we're going to get them into a good home. So even if that home seemed good, if it turns out it's not good, we'll do what we can to get it back. Most of the time, we get them to pay for the shipping and they do not get a refund. So even though it's a return, well, if you bought a $200 snake, $50 shipping, you're gonna ultimately pay $300 for not owning a snake, because you bought it, paid for shipping, and then paid for shipping back. Now there's been, I think, a couple times where we covered the shipping, but we did not give them a refund. It is what it is. We don't have a return policy, but we have accepted returns. Now, it's not even too many times. At most, maybe like 10 animals have been returned. Some in person where we were actually able to meet them and take it back. Others were online and they got shipped back. But ultimately, selling 500 animals, I'd say that's pretty good. If we did have a return policy, I'm guessing it would have been, I don't know, 5, maybe even 10%, because like, well, it's a risk-free guarantee. If I don't like the animal, I can return it. And then there's people impulse buying more and buying animals they're unsure about. So I am going to support this. I will die on this hill. We should not have a return policy, but we should still take the returns. And I think most people would probably agree with that. Number 3, multiple terms, and what I'm about to say is going to instantaneously sound sketchy. And that's because we would do in-house financing, which, you know, that can be a little scammy, a little suspicious sometimes. Maybe you're buying a car and it's a little bit of a weird place and they want you to finance it through them, but you can't find the APR on the page. It can be iffy. And we did have legally binding contracts where if you were like, I want this $500 animal, I don't want to pay $500 up front. We'd be like, cool, no problem. Pay us $125 a month for 4 months. And I can't remember what, we actually did charge them like an interest. I think it was kind of crazy. It was like 10% interest or something. So over the next few months, you're going to pay us $550. It says it in this contract. We would write up contracts using free templates and we'd send them off and they sent them back and they were in fact signed contracts. But here's the thing. It was very sketchy. Not for the buyer, but for us. Because how it would work is you pay the first month and we go ahead and ship you the animal. You have the animal. We don't have your money. We're just hoping that you send the money. If you didn't send us the money, we wouldn't have done anything, honestly. You just got like a free animal. Ultimately, yes. Could we have gone to small claims? Yes. Could we have won? I think we would have. But are we really going to go through the effort of going, let's say the person's in California wearing NC, we have to sue them over the $350 animal. We're just not going to. It's just not worth the time or the effort. And we were just taking a risk every single time we did this financing. It's not like PayPal financing where they will actually get their money no matter what it takes. We wouldn't have done anything. So if you financed with us, you could have actually not paid. And we wouldn't have sold you in the future, but we weren't going to go after you. We were completely bluffing if we said that you're going to go to court because you're not paying for your animal. Now, we did have many people pay late. Sometimes people were a day late, sometimes people were 3 to 4 weeks late, but ultimately everyone that we financed paid their full balances except for one person who I still remember, and I think they did a typo because they still owe me $1. I thought about if I should contact them for that $1, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to do the gracious deed of covering that $1 for you and not taking you to court over $1. I wouldn't do this again, but it worked out and everyone paid, and I appreciate your honesty, and we did not have malintent with it. It was honestly just to make it easier for you and to make sales more efficient and more quick. And it was cool because all the buyers were good, we had good intentions, and it worked out. They got their animal for the promised amount and they paid it and we were all happy. So worked for me. I probably won't do it again though. Number 4. Each animal on Emerald Scales has its own unique description to perfectly describe that animal. But I've sold over 100 ball pythons. I've sold over 100 leopard geckos. I've sold over 50 crested geckos. And even though each reptile is very individual and has its own personality, if I get a ball python today, it's pretty much guaranteed to have the personality of one of the other 100 ball pythons I've sold in the past couple years. Sometimes I reuse descriptions of animals, and I just scroll through and find a similar ball python, and I copy it and I paste it into the new one. But it's accurate. It's a sweet, charismatic leopard gecko that likes being handled and has a great temperament and eats well and likes dubia roaches, and it's all accurate with the new leopard gecko. Why not just take that old description and use it again? If it's going to be the exact same, why waste the time to type it with different wording? If I was feeling a little frisky, sometimes I'd use some different adjectives. Instead of sweet, the gecko was nice. And instead of grumpy, the ball python was defensive, you know, and make them all a bit unique. But ultimately, yes, sometimes I did copy and paste descriptions. So if you go through all the animals that we've sold, you'll probably find some matching descriptions. Somehow nobody's ever noticed this, but maybe it's because they actually don't care, because ultimately each animal I sold, the personality was accurate to the description. So I always made sure they were right, but some of them were the exact same. I'm just gonna be honest, okay? And number 5, while I considered it in the past, we ultimately do not let people repurchase animals that they send to us. And people have mixed emotions about this when I mention this, because let's say you send an animal to us and then a month later you're like, you know what? That was a mistake. I want the animal back. One person did this and they actually had a good enclosure. They actually, if they were a different person, they would have been approved. But ultimately, after deliberation, we decided not to send people back their animals. And after this first one, it just became the policy: if you send us an animal, there's no chance of you getting it back. Because even though if the enclosure was good and the setup was good, some of these people were just really bad at caring for the animal, where if it clearly came in underweight or overweight or had a respiratory infection or had mites, we can't really trust them with this animal again. Our promise to the person rehoming is we're going to get it to a home that's good for the animal. And if that person wasn't good for the animal, it's not going to go back to that person. Also, a lot of these people were simply too neurotic to be comfortable. Like, say they were rehoming the animal. Like, I'm going to rehome my, actually, I'm not going to rehome. Actually, I need to get rid of it. Actually, I think I'm going to keep it. I don't have time for it. No, I think I can make time. I don't have money. I think I can make more money. And then they're finally like, you know what? I'm going to send it. They send it, and then they do the same thing. I don't want to send it. I want it back. Well, no, you're just going to send it back to us a month later. It's kind of obvious that if you're that on the fence about it, it's just best for everyone's sake. Just don't. It's here. It's going to stay here until we find it a new owner. And that's just how it's been since. Ultimately, even less people have tried to rebuy their own animal compared to people that have tried to return animals. So say we had less than 10 returns, we had, I think, less than 5 people try to repurchase. It was like 3, maybe 4, maybe like between 3 and 6 people. So at the grand scheme of things, it was a very small group of people, but it was still very stressful and something that really took a lot of thought to make sure we were making the right decision. But that was that number. That was indeed number 5. So yeah, quick rundown. If we couldn't keep it legally, that wouldn't stop us from making sure we could still legally work with the animal and get it into a good home. Even though our policy said absolutely no returns, we still accept returns. It's kind of just what we got to do. If you don't want to pay for a very expensive animal up front, even though we don't do it now, we used to let you finance. And actually now Wix, which is the site I use to like sell animals, they actually do have PayPal financing, so you can do that. It's not me. I get paid up front. PayPal sends me the full amount, and it's between you and PayPal if you stop paying. So don't think that you can do the financing now and just not pay, because it's not me, it's PayPal, and PayPal will probably come after you. But I think their APR is 0, and we actually charged you, so there's that. Animals, they're unique, but yes, sometimes I'd reuse the descriptions and information for the same ad. It was always updated pictures, I'll give you that. Anytime, even if I reused the listing in the description, I would take new pictures of the new animal to make sure you'd get the one that you're looking at. And yeah, if you send us an animal, you can't take it back. And sometimes people try to work their way around to get past. If we've declined them in the past, they really want that animal, they try to buy it under a different name. Well, guess what? Your name isn't the only way we know who you are. You have a digital fingerprint. Your credit card and your debit card have digital fingerprints. They're linked. If you use a credit card under your name, we still know who you are, okay? We can't see your full number, but we can acquire enough information to know that you're trying to buy an animal again and trying to be someone else. So yeah, it doesn't work. You can't do that. But that's that. What do you think? Were they not that bad? Should I have not done some of these? Looking back, I would just not even bother with animals I can't keep legally. Just, there's enough other animals, I'm not even touching that again. Not doing in-house financing. I will still accept returns if I have to. I'll still use descriptions, and I still will continue to not let people rebuy their animals. So ultimately, that's my thoughts on it now, but I'm curious to hear yours. And I'm curious if you want a plushie before they sell out. As of recording this, there are 29 left, and then they're gone. I'm keeping a few for myself, but that'll be it. And it'll be a little while before there's more plushies because they take a long time to make. But thanks so much to everyone that bought one. And there's a couple animals on Emerald Skulls right now if you want to check them out. That'll be it for this video. I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.